All right, hey, people. Let's see here. It's December 4th, 2020. Right now, I'm gonna go set a few things up. Let this video play for about half hour while I go get things set up and get my kids settled down and everything. And I just want to give people time to get into the room. But anyway, I plan on doing this video around 11:10. So if you don't, doing the live stream around 11:10. So if you want to come back then, that's when I'll kind of be back. I just kind of wanted to share this. And anyway,
Finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. And I'm going to put the KJV plus, which gives us the Strong's Concordance numbers like a word study Bible. And just briefly, we're going to go to verse 2 and okay, here we are. Rested. The word rested, as you can see on the screen now, is the word. Uh, this says Shabbat, but it's Shavat, and it's the verb form of Shabbat. So here we see uh, this word being used, and here in verse 3, same word, the verb form of Shabbat. The point of this was to see that the Shabbat, the Sabbath day, has been with us since the creation. So now we're going back to the KJV. We're going to Exodus chapter 20 for a couple of three verses, starting at verse 8. And this is what we call the Ten Commandments. And it says here, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath, or the Shabbat of Yahweh your Elohim. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor the stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So here we have a commandment from the Creator to his people. Remember and observe the Sabbath day. Okay, we're going now to the book of Luke just for a couple seconds or a minute or so. Luke chapter 4, verse 16. And this is speaking of Yeshua or Jesus. And it says, and he, speaking of Yeshua, and he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. So here we see the Messiah keeping, remembering, and observing the Sabbath day. And the last place in the scriptures right now we're going to is the book of Acts, chapter 17, verse 2. And Paul, as his manner was, went in unto them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures. So the point of these verses were to show that God himself observed the Sabbath day. The Messiah observed the Sabbath day. The apostles, after the Messiah, observed the Sabbath day. And in the book of Exodus, we looked at the commandment for all of us to observe the Sabbath day. So it would appear that Sabbath day is pretty important to the king, to God, and it is a part of his constitution, of his kingdom, the constitution which we call the Torah. So with that, we're now going to look at some examples from the ancient Hebrew and get to the root word of our word or the day Shabbat. Okay, on the board, I have for us some examples of from the Hebrew alphabet. I have on there on the board Aleph, Bet, and Hey. It's the first, second, and the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And I chose these because I want to give you the idea of an idea about where we're going with the word Shabbat. And you may have heard, some of you, that the letter Aleph, for example, represents the head of an ox, and it means strength or strong. The letter Bet, you may have heard or be aware that it means house, or is supposed to be the picture of a house, and it can mean within or inside, or can mean house. The letter Hey, you've heard, is the definitive article. And you may or may not have been told or learned that it's the picture of a man. So the reason I have these up here is because, as you see on the board, the top line here is the modern Hebrew. That's the way you would write it if you were writing words in Hebrew today. The second line is what's called the Paleo Hebrew. And the point of this is that I wanted to show you that each letter is a picture within itself also, and we want to see the picture that the word Shabbat gives us. So each letter in Hebrew, well, let me give you the example of the pictures first. The letter Aleph, an ox's head. You can't really see it here. You can kind of see it here if you know what it is that you're looking for. But in the ancient Hebrew, which predates the Paleo Hebrew, the Aleph would have looked something like this. And this isn't a great rendition of the Aleph, but you can see it looks somewhat like an ox's head, and would more so if I could do it better. The letter Bet, a house. In the ancient pictographic Hebrew, would have been something like this. It's actually the floor plan of a tent with the entrance, and here was another entrance and a second room, if you will. This is where the females would have lived, and this is where the males would have lived. It's actually the floor plan of a tent or a house. The letter Hey, which is the picture of a man, something like this in the pictographic Hebrew. And you can see here it's a picture of a man, has his arms extended, and he's looking up at the heavens. He's looking to God to see, or for direction and guidance. The point of this is that the ancient Hebrew, like these, were actually pictures. And again, we're going to try to see what picture that the word Shabbat paints for us. Now, each letter, not just these letters, but any letter in the Hebrew language will contribute part of the meaning, the overall meaning of a word. Now, I want to caution you, you can't just start looking words up in the ancient Hebrew and redefining what they mean. We can't do that. What we can do, though, is look at the pictures or the picture that's painted by a word and try to get a deeper understanding of what the word is trying to convey to us. So that's what we're getting ready to try to do. Okay, now on the board, I've got some more Hebrew letters for us and the pictures, and I want to explain take a couple minutes to show you what we're getting at here. All the way over here, the letter Nun. It's a picture of a seed, and it means, part of the meanings that it can contribute to a word are a seed or to continue. Aleph, we already looked at, means strong or strength, a picture of an ox's head. The letter Bet we looked at, which means house or inside or within. This is the letter Mem, and it looks like it's the picture of the waves on the ocean or on the Mediterranean Sea. And it can contribute various meanings to a word also, such as chaos, water, a liquid. We see this letter is in the word blood. We're not going to get into blood right now, but it's the movement of blood, Dalet Mem, Dam. And this letter, the last one over here, is the letter Tav. Kind of looks like a plus, or if you had it in a different direction, it might look like an X. And the Tav brings to a word like the point you're looking at, the goal. X marks the spot, so to speak, and also can mean be a symbol or sign of covenant. Now, each of these letters have more different meanings they can contribute to a word, but those are the primary meanings as I've learned them. And so we're going to not just put these letters together in any shape or fashion, but we're going to talk about a house or a family. And in the ancient Hebrew culture, a house was not a structure. It wasn't the tent, although those would be called a house. A house was the family. And so with a family, this is what we're going to look at. And then from this, we'll go into the Shabbat. But if we have the letter Aleph, and you'll have to forgive my drawings, I'm not too good at this, and we have the letter Bet, so we have Aleph Bet. It is a word, it's the name of the alphabet, but it's also a word. And this word is Av, and that would be the strength of the house. Okay, the strength of a house, that's the word for father. All right, now again, if we had the Aleph and the Mem, this is strong. And remember, the Mem, among other things, can mean water, so we would have strong water. In the ancient Hebrew thinking, that would be strong water would be glue. So glue holds something together. So in the idea of a family and a household, what is it that holds everything together? The mother. And that is the word aim, and it's the word for mother. So in a family, you have the father and the mother, the strength of the house, and the glue that holds the family together. So when a man and a woman, they get married, they become one, the man is looking to build a house. He's looking to build a family. And so over time, the man, the woman, husband and wife, they might have a son, or they would have a son. Then we would, from there, we would have the letter Bet. Whoa, that's a bad looking letter Bet, isn't it? Okay, that's a little better. So we'd have the Bet Noon, or Ben, or Bane, and this is the house continues. The house continues, and that's the word for son. So you can kind of see how the letters, the pictures, paint a picture and give you some meaning above and beyond just reading the Strong's Concordance definition and so forth. And so now, over time, the son would become a man, and he in turn would look to perhaps build a house or have a family. And you, if you can imagine, then this scenario here, a father and a mother, somewhere else, they would have perhaps a daughter. And so we can perhaps think of again the letter Bet. And the letter Tav. So we have Bet Tav. Bat, I think is the way that's pronounced. And this is the word for daughter. So the son is looking to continue the house. He's looking for the sign of a house. So the son and the daughter, they get married, they become husband and wife. And then over time, as the son is building his house, he's continuing the house of his father. They have a son. And now once these two have a son, the son has then become a father. The daughter became a wife, and now she's become a mother. And so it continues. And this is also the meaning of the word, one of the words for generation. Man and woman become husband and wife. They have a child, a son perhaps, maybe several sons, several daughters. The husband and wife become father and mother. Their son finds the sign of his house, which is someone else's daughter. They become husband and wife. They have children. They have a son who now is the continuation of the house. And this son was a continuation of this house. And so it goes all the way back to the house of God. So this is just a little exercise in showing you how we can use the pictures of these words, or the pictures of these letters within the words, to get some deeper meaning. And so now we're getting ready. We're going to go do something similar to this for the word Shabbat and see the picture that it paints for us also. Okay, first, I want to go to the computer screen for a couple of minutes. We're back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. I want to show you something. We're going to get into Shabbat. If you remember, we looked at the letter Bet or Bait, and that it was a house. So I want to go to Genesis 1:1 and show you this. Okay, on the screen you can see, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now I'm going to put it on the KJV plus, and this gives us the Strong's Concordance numbers. And we see in the beginning is the Strong's number Hebrew 7225. So if we look at that, got it messed up. Okay, you see it as the word Reshit. Okay, now we're going to look at that on Blue Letter Bible. Genesis 1:1, or I'm sorry, this is not Blue Letter, this is Bible Hub. This is the interlinear version that's on BibleHub.com. And here is our word, in the beginning. You can see it on the screen. And here is what we were told, Strong's number 7225, Reshit. But in the actual Hebrew manuscript, there's this letter added to it, or prefix to the word, that if you just simply look up the Strong's number and look up the word, you won't see this. But here is the letter. And that's the letter Bet. That's the letter we've kind of been looking at and that we're going to see in the Shabbat, and the word Shabbat. The point of this is that, among other things, the story of the Bible, beginning at Genesis 1:1, is the story of this house. This is the beginning, the Reshit, the beginning of a house that was created by Elohim, or God. So that's an important concept to keep in mind as we go through our study, finish up our study on Shabbat, or the Hebrew root of Shabbat. Okay, now that we saw that the very first letter in the Bible is the letter Bet, this is just the modern version of the letter Bet, and this is the ancient pictographic version. We can see that in one way that the Bible is the story of a house, and I would say that that's the house of God. As we saw, it was the Creator's house, the beginning of his house. So just a little something about the Hebrew language. Here are two letters put together, the letter Shin and the letter Bet. Just in general terms, when two letters are put together, that makes what's called a parent root. And from the parent root, you can get words that have, instead of two letters, they'll have, I'm using numbers now just to make an example, but we're going to look at actual words here in a few minutes also. Of course, Hebrew goes right to left. And this could happen multiple times over. And from this, you could get a word that has 4 letters or 5 letters. This would be the parent root. These 3-letter words would be a child root or an adopted root. We're not going to get into what that means other than parent, child. And then you get other words derived out of the child or the adopted roots. The point of all this is that when you think of it this way, this is all a family, different words coming together, or not coming together, but derived from the same parent, is a family. So it's important to keep that in mind, because we're going to look at a family of words now from these 2 letters. So let me get this off of the board for a moment. Okay, so now what we have left, we have the letter Shin, which is a picture of, supposed to be of your 2 front teeth. And it conveys meanings to a word of 2 or double. And also, being that it's your teeth, you use your teeth to press against the food in your mouth. So it also has the meaning of putting pressure or pressing. Like we might say, someone who is late to get somewhere, well, they're really pressing hard to get there. They're pressing hard to get back. They're pressing hard to get to wherever, whenever. And it conveys that kind of a meaning to this word in particular, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. This is the letter Bet that we've seen before as a picture of a house. So these 2 letters, the Shin and the Bet, when they come together, it is someone who is pressing hard. Like I just said somebody is pressing hard to get there or to get here. So pressing hard, pressing to get to the house. Remember the house we're talking about, the house at the very beginning of the Bible. So this word is would be shuv. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this particular two-letter word isn't in the Hebrew scriptures, but the words that we're going to see that come down, like our example a while ago, there's a family of words that does come from this. And with that, the first one that we're going to look at, we're going to come over here, and we'll have our sheen, and along with this word, we're going to get the letter tav. I'm sorry, not the letter tav, the letter vav added into it. Now this word is the word shuv, and it is, as far as the Strong's number, I believe it's 7725, or Hebrew H7725. It's the word shuv, and it's translated as return. So someone is returning to the house, or a house, hopefully this house. Then from there, with this word, shuv, if it gets the letter hey added onto it, we get shuvah, which is a noun form of shuv, and it is the returning to the house. You could think of it that way pictographically. All right. So from here, here we have our parent root, we had a child root, and then we had another word derived from it. Perhaps I should put the whole word on here so we can keep track. Just a moment. Okay, so now go over here. You can still see that. And yes, I do have some notes. Now we have our sheen and our bet. And this time we get the letter yod prefixed or added as a prefix to it. That's not a very good yod, but it's the letter yod. And that word then becomes yashav, which is a verb. As far as Strong's numbers, it's 3427. It's a verb, and it means to dwell or to inhabit. Of course, if you were dwelling somewhere, you were inhabiting somewhere, that's going to be your home. Then this word can have a mem added to it at the beginning. And then we come up with the word moshav, which is the noun form of this, and it is your dwelling, or it is your habitation. It's the place you dwell. Again, hopefully we're dwelling in this house. So important to keep in mind, our parent root, there's the house. Over here in shuv, the word for return, there's the house. Shuvah, there's the house. Yeshav, there's the house. Moshav, there's the house. But now we're going to have another word. We've got our same parent root word here, our sheen, our bet, and this time, when this word gets the letter tav added to it, this is our word, Shabbat. Okay, so we have our root word, which is a pressing to the house. If you remember from earlier, we talked about the tav, and the tav is kind of like the X marks the spot. It's the goal. It's the place on the map you're trying to get to. So Shabbat pictographically then is this is the place that the one who is returning or pressing to the house. That's where they're trying to get. Now, I would say that is this house, the house that's at the very beginning of Genesis, the house that God built or is still building. So Shabbat is the Tav means a sign, a covenantal sign or a mark. So this is the sign of returning. Remember the incident in the garden? We all got kicked out of the house, so to speak, and now we're in the process of trying to return. The sign that, the symbol, the sign, the thing that shows that we're trying to return to that house, that's Shabbat, or as we sometimes say now, Sabbath. So the Shabbat, there's the house of God within the Shabbat. And Shabbat, pictographically in the ancient Hebrew, is the sign or the symbol of somebody who's trying to get back to that house. So that's why Shabbat is so important. Now, to finish up our video today, I'm going to go back to the screen for just a couple of minutes and show you just a little bit more, a couple of verses about and with the word Shabbat. Okay, here we are back on our computer screen. Two verses I wanted to look at with you and go over with you. They're both from the book of Exodus, chapter 31, and the first verse is here on the screen, verse 13. This is speaking of the Sabbath, and this is the Lord speaking to Moses. It says, speak thou, Moses, also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily, my Sabbaths, and this is our word, Sabbath is our word, Shabbat. My Shabbats you shall keep or guard, for it is a sign. The word sign here in Hebrew is oath, and it comes from the root word aleph tav. Remember, Yeshua or Jesus says he's the aleph and the tav, or in the Greek, he says the alpha and the omega. So the word sign here has that letter tav, meaning covenant, and signifying something, the place you're trying to go. So, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, verily, my Shabbats you shall guard, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Okay, generations, remember we talked about a man and a woman becoming married. They have children becoming father and mother. Then the children, if they're a son, they go out to find a bride to be their wife, a daughter of someone else from another household. The two of them get married. They become husband and wife. When they have children, they become father and mother. And this is how the generations continue. A man becomes a husband. He then becomes a father. He has a son who becomes a grown man, who becomes a father, or becomes a husband, who becomes a father. Then his son, and this is how the generations continue. And we have the Lord here saying, you have to keep, or he wants us to keep his Sabbaths because it's a sign, a covenantal sign between him and us throughout our generations. As long as these generations of father, mother, having children, they become adults, fathers and mothers, that as long as that continues, the Shabbat or the Sabbath, according to God, that's a sign between him and his people. Now, the second verse, and the last one we're going to look at is verse 17. Same conversation going on, speaking of the Sabbath or the Shabbat. And again, it emphasizes it, speaking of the Sabbath, is a sign. Again, the same word in Hebrew, oath. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. And the reason given then, because, or for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested. He took a Shabbat and was refreshed. Okay, remember, I know I keep emphasizing this, but the family unit, the father, Aleph Bet, the strength of the house, the son, the letters is Bet, Nun, the seed of the house, it continues. Now here in this verse, verse 17, the Sabbath is a sign between me and the children of Israel. Okay, the Hebrew behind children is the word ben or bane. That's the word for son. That's the bet noon. So here we have the children. That's the continuation or the seed of the house. And it has our letter bet in it. So I hope that I've conveyed over to you the importance of the Shabbat. The Shabbat is the sign that you, me, we're trying to get back to that house. That's where we want to dwell forever. And it appears that a great portion or great part of returning is found in the Shabbat, the Sabbath day. So I hope this has been a help to you. And if you have any questions or comments, then please leave them below. Shalom to everyone. Thank you. May Yah bless you and guard you.
All right, hey everybody. Sorry about like starting a little bit late. I had to get a few things in order before I started. Anyway, I want to go check out this one link. Put that up on the screen. So right here, I guess we got all the Sabbath and all the language, well, in 100 different languages from all over the world. Their word for the day we call Saturday is the exact same word for Sabbath. This and other evidence gives overwhelming proof of when the true seventh-day Sabbath is. Excuse me. So pretty much it looks like it's the same, almost the same word in every language. Sabbat, Sabuda, Sabati, Sabota, Sambata. It's pretty similar wording too. And as far as I know, and there's like a lot of ancient languages where the word for Sabbath is it's like similar. So even before like the Jews existed, there was like lots of languages that still called Saturday Sabbath in their ancient language. Um, so, but anyway, there's something real curious I saw. Gonna pull up this one video. Actually, I probably need to go through my history real quick. That'd be the fastest way to find it. Because I've been saying a lot about how Trump, to me, is if in case anyone's new to my channel or following my channel, basically I believe that we couldn't, like, the America could have never been locked down under Obama. I don't think Hillary could have locked down America. If they tried, I don't think we would have made it past March. I think too many people would have fought it too hard. And basically, I think that the New World Order used Trump because Trump had people's trust. A conservative might go, wow, this doesn't seem right. But because Trump's doing it, you kind of pump the brakes a little bit. You don't want to seem too crazy. It's like Trump gave you that hesitancy. Like, well, it is Trump. He is locking it down. The Democrats didn't even want the lockdown in the first place. So maybe Trump's doing it to actually save people. I mean, there's like a lot of schools of thought, but even the people that didn't like it, well, Trump's doing it. Surely he wouldn't destroy America. Surely he wouldn't destroy jobs. He loves the economy. So a lot of people are thinking, well, Trump just wouldn't, do such a thing, or and here it goes, fourth week, fifth week, eighth week, and it's still locked down. And people are like, well, surely he'll open it up soon, and then some of them start to slowly start protesting more and more and more. And But I mean, as you can see, it's all the way November. Trump hasn't removed the emergency order. In fact, he wound up, signing basically, that Corona spending bill is like a $6.2 trillion check. And what's it over? It's over the flu, basically. And he's the one who spent that money that could have been used to feed people. Now you're starting to have like 50 million Americans going hungry. And what kind of diseases do you wind up getting from hunger? You don't just get coronavirus just because your immune system's low. You get a host of other diseases. You get a host of other illnesses and problems. Lots that could have just been fixed with just good diet and food. So it really does not make no sense to take away people's jobs, livelihoods, stress them out, and stress causes diseases and illnesses and runs down the immune system. So when you do all these things, it doesn't make sense to fight a virus that only has a 99. I mean, that has a 99.5% survivability rating, percentage. So and that's when you calculate. I know some websites they say, oh, cases, well, deaths divided by cases gives you like a 5.1% death rate or a 1.5% death rate. So they're saying like almost 2 people out of 100 die from corona. And no, they're not factoring in antibody tests and things like that, which is at least 11.5% of the population has antibodies for the coronavirus. So when you calculate those populations plus the case numbers, and then you take the death and you divide the people who have antibodies and cases, you get a percentage that's closer to 0.5% death rate and even lower. And then if you give them proper treatment and you don't just give these people steroids right off the bat, because steroids lowers the immune system. And I've watched several doctors talk about, oh, so and so gave them steroids, and we noticed that their oxygen levels were dropping. And so we took them off steroids and started giving them ivermectin, and their oxygen levels started going back up. Well, see, if they would have just probably gave these people ivermectin and doxycycline right off the bat, these people probably wouldn't wind up going on, getting severe cases and then going on ventilators. Which I think I had one friend, and that's exactly what he's doing. One friend that's a doctor early on. I was asking him about this, and he got so mad at me because I think he lost a couple of patients that he quit talking to me. So, and I mean, basically, this is a guy that, like, the FDA gives him guidelines. He ain't gonna really go outside those guidelines. What the FDA, and that's not to say that it's wrong to go outside the guidelines of the FDA, but this guy, he will not go outside the guidelines of the FDA. So if the FDA doesn't recommend certain things, and it's a new disease, he won't do it. And I'm guessing that he's one of those doctors that was also given steroids, which is supposed to help, I guess, people regain oxygen levels, but at the same time, it lowers the immune system. And then basically, he didn't want people to have. He said, "I don't want that virus." He, said some curse word as he said, "I don't want that virus spewing all over my hospital, so I'm throwing people on ventilators to make sure it's contained." So he could have put them on CPAPs and less intrusive devices, but and BPAPs or BiPAPs, but instead he just put them straight to the ventilators. So, but I'm not. That's not to say he should have his medical license taken away from him, because I guess if you did that to every doctor, you would have a very big shortage of doctors. But anyway, so I'm gonna play. Oh boy, I'm real sorry. I thought I had it all loaded up and ready to go, and think this is it. Yeah, no, or maybe it is it. Here, I'm gonna. No, I mean this one part, it will really. I think it will really solidify. I gotta turn on the light in here. It's gonna really solidify my whole comment I made about Donald Trump and thinking that he's part of the New World Order. And basically, the one thing I'm worried about is once Trump's reelected, because I really do believe strongly, no matter how bad things look right now, and I even have like a lawyer friend saying it looks horrible for Trump right now. And it looks like, and he even said that it looks like he's got a bunch of clowns representing him. And despite that, I still think Trump's going to be, he's going to still win this election. And part of the reason is stuff like in this video. And it's actually this video, a Muslim compiled it. And but he compiled a bunch of Christians talking about Donald Trump. And so I want to just play some of it. And
this election is not over. Far from it. We have only begun the process of obtaining an accurate, honest vote count. We are fighting for the rights of all Americans who want to have faith and confidence, not only in this election, but in the many elections to come. There is only one party in America that opposes voter ID. One party in America that opposes verifying signatures, citizenship, residency, eligibility. There is only one party in America trying to keep observers out of the count room. And that party, my friends, is the Democrat Party.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
New reports claim the real results of the 2020 U.S. election were found on a computer server that was seized by the U.S. military in Frankfurt, Germany. In a recent tweet, a Virginia congressional candidate shared an electoral map that's allegedly based off of this data from that server. It shows a landslide victory for President Trump with a 410 electoral college vote, including liberal strongholds California and Minnesota. Congressman Louis Gohmert, you just heard from him there. He says the real election results were stolen through vulnerabilities in the Dominion voting system.
Extremely compelling evidence that could be gleaned from Scytl, that's SCYTL. That's a company headquartered in Barcelona, Spain, that was responsible for aggregating all the information from all the machines and whatnot. But now the main headquarters had moved to Frankfurt. That information as to how many votes were switched from Republican for Democrat would have been easily established from the information that Scytl gathered.
Reports say the data gathered by the U.S. military in Frankfurt provides enough evidence to overturn the election and expose the voter fraud committed by the Democrat Party.
In the weeks since the U.S. election, a UK data scientist has been uncovering what she calls suspicious cases relating to the vote counting system. She says she found that votes were added unexpectedly and even taken away. We spoke with her to hear about what she suspects is going on.
Data scientist Sarah Eaglesfield says she discovered unusual changes in vote counts in several states during the 2020 election. According to her research, nearly 60 counties across the United States had ballots removed from the total count after they've been counted. She said that the changes in data indicate the vote counting software, known as Dominion voting systems, is flawed.
I don't think the vote counting software is fit for purpose. I've seen counts that go down, I've seen votes going missing, and I've seen ballots that have been counted 2, 3, maybe 4 times. Therefore, I think that the software, which Texas did not approve, has got many faults that should have been investigated prior to this election going ahead.
Based on her analysis, ballots in Wayne County, Michigan were counted more than once. Numbers showed that ballots with the same voter ID appeared several times in the vote counting software. She explained she feels the discrepancies combined with evidence of dead voters make it impossible for anyone to determine what the real election results were.
Let me put it this way. First of all, I never say anything I can't prove. Secondly, the evidence is coming in so fast, I can't even process it all. Millions of Americans have written, I would say by now. Definitely hundreds of thousands have stepped forward with their different experiences of voter fraud. But this is a massive election fraud. President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes.
Tonight, President Donald Trump is blaming, quote, radical left Democrats and, quote, the fake news media for trying to steal the election while still saying that he won the presidential race.
President Donald Trump continues to strongly dispute the election results, fighting back on several fronts and declaring in a tweet today, I won the election.
We won the election easily. There's no way Joe Biden got 80 million votes. I just said there's no way Joe Biden beat Barack Obama in the black communities of various cities, and then he did very badly compared to Obama in other cities throughout the United States. There's no way it happened. This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election.
To be very clear.
Okay, I do want to make some comments because I just see some comments coming in the chat. Because someone says, you know, Trump is the better of two evils. I guess Chrysler says, please pray for the Illuminati to fail miserably and backfire brutally. Trump has been threatened. His family is being threatened by the Illuminati. And Robed Rebel says, ask yourself what other press has ever been treated like this. He also says the media hates him. The people are brainwashed by the media. The people hate Trump, the end. And I believe it's a show. And the reason why I say that is you would not allow anyone like Hillary to lock your country down. And it basically takes America being locked down to lock the world down. Had America resisted this at all, the rest of the world doesn't get locked down. I mean, you know, in the Bible, it does say that there will be this, like, basically this worldwide system. And you won't be able to buy or sell without a mark. But how do you even get this system, you know, to come about? You know, most people, they care about their families. They got some kind of decency towards right and wrong. And it's really hard to unite the whole world behind evil. Like, hey, let's kill everybody. You know, let's everybody get together and kill everybody and be evil. It's really hard. But I think the easier way of doing it is to have like a false goodness, a false light, and that false light helping to create this whole system. And I believe that's really what Donald Trump is behind doing. See, I knew I would lose a live viewer, but I do want to show a clip. I brought up the wrong thing the first time. And the reason why is because of these, I think this is the right one this time. Let me see. No, brought up the wrong screen again. Let me get it. Now I know which screen it is, though, this time. But like I said, a Muslim put together all this, and but there's a lot of good clips of these Christians. And see, a lot of these Christians in this clip, I believe they're all part of a false Christianity. And Trump did nominate nothing but Catholics also. Trump's also got 33 Catholic advisors. He's only got about maybe 23, 26 non-Catholic advisors. So out of all these other denominations of Christians, he's only got about 23 or 26 representing them. But yet from one church, he's got 33 representatives. And not only is it from one church, that one church, what does the Pope believe in? Open borders, gun control, forced vaccinations. I mean, you can go look up pictures of of Melinda Gates meeting with the Pope. And we know what the Gates Foundation is all part of, right? With this whole vaccine thing. And you need to understand also, Amy Coney Barrett sided with the Democrats on the lockdown. And here's Trump. Hey, there's another Catholic. Let me put her in charge. Can't nominate a Protestant for nothing. It's like Protestants are garbage, But hey, he did say he wanted to end anti-Catholicism. So I guess the best way you do that. But what does ending anti-Catholicism mean? It means, hey, you know what? We gotta, basically tell Protestants, hey, you can go to hell, right? I mean, that's how I feel like Trump basically treated us. Protestants founded America. It wasn't founded on Catholicism. You want go to any country that's ruled by majority Catholics? Do you want to go to any of those countries south of the border and live? Or would you rather live in America? Why are they all flocking here? I mean, but here we were a nation that was founded by Protestants, now ruled by majority Catholics. But hey, a lot of people think America's going into the garbage can, and wow, no Protestants, nothing but Catholics. America's going into the garbage can, but I'm going to play this.
Will arise a powerful world ruler that they identify as the Antichrist.
The Antichrist is not a Muslim, he's not a Jew, and he's certainly not a Christian.
E non fare ponti non è cristiano.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
We have Jesus Christ, and Satan will have his Antichrist.
He is supposed to be a powerful political personality.
He's going to be someone, though, who's going to come on the scene as a great peacemaker.
And my administration remains firmly committed to establishing peace and harmony.
The planet's sense of neediness for an answer is going to make them right to believe an anti-Messiah.
He will be so successful that some people will think he is the very Messiah, and that is the whole point, because that is what he is masquerading as.
I said, Mr. President, I know there are people that say, you said you were the chosen one. I said, you were.
I like to be good. I don't like to have to ask for forgiveness.
And he's not alone. He has at his side the false prophet.
You did not need a professional politician in the Oval Office, but it needed a fighter and a champion for freedom. And Lord, that's exactly what we have.
I am going to be the greatest president that God ever created. Remember that.
The Antichrist will not only try to counterfeit the true Christ, but will even try to pass himself off as the Son of God.
I am the chosen one.
But the Antichrist has a mouth like a lion.
Get out of here.
The Antichrist will call himself king.
When somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total.
But the Antichrist will take the mark of the beast and put it upon the forehead of his followers.
As I stand before you today, I see the greatest president in history. Of course he is. He was chosen by God.
I'm not worried about what's going to happen in this world, because I know who has the whole world in his hands, and I've made peace with God, and I'm ready to go. How about you?
Joe Biden and Donald Trump. 2016, it was Mrs. Clinton, right? And Donald Trump. She won. But she did not win. Because the person who contested Mrs. Clinton won by his own means. 2020, no change. Trump will sit on America's seat again. Americans will not vote for him. But he will be president. The votes that will come will be for Biden, but Trump will still be president. Why? 2016, I told you a certain nation will help Trump. I told you, if you remember, before the elections. I say it again today. The same way Trump will bulldoze his way, he will win. Americans will not understand, but Trump is 2021 president. Between the two, Trump is strong, Biden is weak, and he will use that strength to win. And so Trump is the next president of America. All the things I've said, I think you heard it very well. Trump will sit on America's seat. If a prophet tells you that angels are now talking, it's a lie. So I repeat, if any prophet tells you angels are now taking decisions, and it's not true. Trump is the president. Now let me tell you.
Does nothing without revealing his purpose to his servants, the prophets.
God says that I do nothing without telling my servants, the prophets.
And I have been interviewing prophet after prophet that I trust that has been saying without blinking an eye, Donald Trump will have 2 terms. President Trump is going to win.
I'm just going to share with you what I believe. Most of the prophets all over the country, the great prophets who I honor and respect, who I give credence to, men of God, prophets of God, men of God, most of them are prophesying that President Trump will be reelected as president. I'm going to say this to you. I prophesied maybe about some months ago that Trump will triumph. That was the word that I heard in my spirit.
Well, here goes. I want to share with you. I was praying on Sunday saying, God, please tell me how it's going to happen. And I hope I've got the word. But first of all, I want to say without question, Trump is going to win the election. And that doesn't mean you sit home and don't vote. That means you get out and do everything you can to work. But he's going to win. That's, I think, a given.
I tell you, as God's people, you have to pray. Because that's, I believe that's the final pressure on the President of the United States. That's the final pressure. If he can get through this, I don't mean if you get well. No. I mean if he can still stand and say and maintain what he maintained before. Rather than say, I give up, whatever you tell me to do now I'm going to do. If he doesn't give up, he wins.
There are only a few weeks to go before the US presidential election. It seems that Mr. Biden is at a significant advantage, according to the national poll. Mr. Trump, on the other hand, has been receiving a great deal of disapproval towards his handling of the pandemic and other issues. Who will win the next election? Biden or Trump? E. Master, the author of the book The Life Journey to E, predicted in July already that Donald Trump will continue the presidency after the election, and this is determined by the plan of his original line.
I think God brought him here for this season, for these 4 years. I'm just asking that God would spare this country for another 4 years to give us a little bit more time to do the work before the storm hits. First of all, God uses men. He works through men. And I believe Donald Trump is the president for a reason. I think God has put him in this position.
I think we're going to hear church bells ringing all over the United States. People are going to be clicking up their heels. It is going to be victory. I believe that the Lord our God has sealed this election in the heavenlies, and we are going to be rejoicing.
I believe, number one, he will be a 2-term president.
Yes, there are angels posted inside and outside every place, every voting precinct, and certainly around the White House, 100,000 of them, sentinels over there. Wow. And everywhere they even carry Trump's plane when it flies. So God is adamant about making sure that he remains here, and he is adamant. And I do know many people were moved on the day of the election to vote for Trump.
Good morning, Mr. President Trump. It's good to see you again. At 4:30, the Lord said to me, I am going to give your president a second win.
First time here, I told you Trump was going to be president. What happened? He was the president.
And this time God said something. He said, I gave Trump to America for the church. He said, man, listen to this. Listen to this. He said, the reason why Trump is president is for the church. Now, they are refusing. They want somebody who is after the death of little children. Biden. Because somebody lied to us that Trump has black people. Just the media saying nonsense. And Christians and leaders, and they are ashamed to stand with what God wants.
If you want to say, Trump, you're about to impeach, you know. So those who think that victory, Trump won't impeach, you know. Those who think that Trump has been impeached and so he will be removed, his removal will not happen. God is not done with Trump. He's not done with Trump. I said he's not done with his assignment.
For President Donald Trump, he's going to win second term. Donald Trump will come back again. So, my brother, with the question you asked, yes, sir. Donald Trump will come back.
So I saw a lot of people in America, and I saw a lot of people all over the world that are Americans. They were against the Donald Trump. God revealed unto me, God showed me the people that were campaigning against Donald Trump as America was going through or was reaching to the time of elections. But they were surprised at the end because they didn't know how it happened realistically. It was like something that was divine supernatural intervention of God's invitation concerning this issue. Because I saw people turning and gasping and campaigning against Donald Trump, but surprisingly, what I saw at the end, it was like they didn't know how he won the election, and I saw him getting the second term to be the president of America. So regardless of what they're going to plan, whatever that they will plan, they can plan everything, but they will not do anything concerning what God has already intervened in. So Donald Trump, he is going to be the president to be with the second term.
And you can see this tweet from August of this year when I predicted that President Donald J. Trump will win this election. On November 6th is when I did the Prashna analysis and I looked into this again. And what I divined from the Prashna analysis is that President Trump will still be the next president of the United States.
Hey everyone, this is Prophetess Raji. There is a mandate which is really time sensitive and urgent I received from God. I really wanted to release it. I heard the voice of God saying 3 times, vote for Trump, Trump, Trump. I said, do not worry about, don't be afraid, do not consider the things that are displayed in the media or TV or Google, the accounts or anything. And then God said, starting from today, starting from this day, God said, starting from this day, 70 days. From this day, 70 days. God said, second confirmation, that day also will be 7. That day also will be 70 days, and that day also will be 7. And then I took my cell phone and a monthly calendar. I pulled the monthly calendar and then I counted 1 to 7, that is to meet the day January 16th. And then January 16th, 1/6. I never know when God said that is also 7.
I make it very clear. I have prophesied for the last couple of months that Trump will triumph, that Trump will be reelected as president. I have prophesied that. But Saturday night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I'm sitting in my living room and I'm watching the news. And while I'm watching the news, I want to say it's Wolf Blitzer. I think it was CNN. But I want to say whoever it was, they announced in the dream, the CNN projection that I saw today in my dream was Joe Biden as the president of the United States.
Don't pay attention to what is happening in the media, what is displayed in the blogs or anything. Just keep declaring till January 16th. I am changing the things. I'm turning over the things, and I'm releasing very significantly judgment against the enemy. And whatever you hear so far,
an underground thing right now, but it's coming above ground. And that God is going to move this underground movement and river of the Spirit into Washington, D.C. And he said that's going to settle our future. He dreamed that President Trump called intercessors and asked them to pray for him because he was going to go up the Allegheny River to the headwaters.
A number of Christian leaders who feel this election isn't over yet felt called by the Lord recently to come to the headwaters of the Allegheny here in northern Pennsylvania. Why here?
There are 4 river streams that go from here, 4 directions, just like in Eden, to the nation.
And from this state, the Declaration of Independence and Constitution that enshrine our liberty and inalienable rights flowed to the rest of the country.
I declare Psalm 89, verse 21. Let your hand establish President Trump, and let your arm strengthen him. I declare Psalm 98:1 that your right hand and your holy arm will give him victory. We declare victory in the name of Jesus. That will be done. That will be done. In every state, in the United States, in the name of Jesus, every city. And Lord, we don't just look to the presidency, but we're asking you to straighten out every Senate race, straighten out every House race, straighten out every governorship, straighten out every state legislature, straighten out every mayor election, straighten out every city council, straighten them out, straighten them out, straighten them out, expose it all, expose it all, expose it all, Lord. And Lord, if it be your will and if it be necessary, another election, another voting day, whatever it takes under your kingdom, oh God, to bring it all in line. Bring it all in line. Bring it all in line with the will of God. For we claim righteousness in the White House, righteousness in the House of Representatives, and righteousness in the Senate, and righteousness in every state. In Jesus' name.
I ask, oh God, that you would take your iron rod, and I ask that you would smash the clay jar of deceit in America. Smash the clay jar of delusion in the United States of America. Smash the delusion, Father, of Joe Biden as our president. He is not. Yeah. Would you take your iron rod and smash the strong delusion that Nancy Pelosi does have her House of Representatives? We don't know that. Smash it in Jesus' name. Smash, Lord, the takeover of the U.S. Senate by Chuck Schumer. Lord, smash it with your iron rod.
I intervened, and what they have counted out is I have cast my vote, says the living God. Therefore, you shall celebrate a victory of my choice. He shall stand in the land again.
Stephen, here's the thing. There are people, personalities that have come into the earth for very unusual reasons. This man was born to be the 45th president of the United States. He's unlike any president ever.
You're right.
There's not ever. We've never elected a billionaire. We've never had a man of his makeup and personality. His only reason for becoming president was to save the nation.
Back in that era, God was showing some of his prophets. Now, we believe that the gifts of the Spirit are for today, not just the early church. And prophecy is probably the most misunderstood.
It is.
For a lot of reasons. But a lot of people would know the name Kim Clement.
Yes.
He was a personal friend of mine since the 90s. He was a little different. He actually died young. He got a stroke. He died the same month that Trump was elected. And the reason that's significant is these prophecies, which are all over YouTube, could not be manufactured.
That's right.
In 2007 and 2008 timeframe, there were two. You can go on YouTube and see them. I've watched them several times. He's prophesying and he's talking about how Trump is going to be a trumpet, and that God is going to raise up a disruptor.
Mm-hmm.
And he says he's going to be in office for 2 terms.
Trump shall become a trumpet, says the Lord. Trump shall become a trumpet. I will raise up the Trump to become a trumpet, and Bill Gates to open up the gate of the financial realm for the church, says the Lord. It shall come to pass.
Man, did you hear what this dude said about Bill Gates, man? Well, Bill Gates, this prophet, dude, oh my gosh, man, I gotta play that one more time.
It's going to raise up a disruptor. And he says he's going to be in office for 2 terms.
Trump shall become a trumpet, says the Lord. Trump shall become a trumpet. I will raise up the Trump to become a trumpet, and Bill Gates to open up the gate of the financial realm for the church, says the Lord. For the church, says the Lord.
See, I just kind of. Oh no audio. Is it still no audio? You heard that part though, didn't you? But anyway, I mean, like, I just want to give people an idea of like where these church leaders that Trump's surrounding himself with is coming from. I mean, like this guy, talking about Bill Gates opening up like the financial realm for the church and all this stuff. And I mean, like, I could just see people just being set up for a serious curveball right here, And I mean, like, honestly, it's like with all the excuses I hear people cutting from Trump, like, oh, he nominated Barr, and Barr helped Clinton get away with Mina. Mina, Bush helped Clinton and Bush get away with Mina. They were selling drugs out of Mina. You know what? In fact, we do need to hear one little clip I got off my channel, because I'm gonna find this one clip I got, because you see, I saw some people get mad at me about Trump. I know people are already getting mad, and I wish I had this thing better laid out. I thought I did, so I'm kind of sorry about that. But there is this one particular video about, like, right after Trump got elected. Oh, yeah, okay, I found it. Now let me just pull this right on up, because this is a great one, man. Like, when some people keep saying, "Oh, Trump's on our side," and Trump's going to take down the deep state. There's a little video I did where it's called this video I did. It's really short. It's only 3 minutes long. Remember, Trump says one thing before the election, another thing after.
I will say this.
Hillary Clinton has to go to jail, okay? She has to go to jail. I think she should be in jail for what she did with her emails, okay?
And I'll tell you what, I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it. But if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it. And we're going to have a special prosecutor because you know what? People have been, their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done. And it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
There he is, representing American political history.
Thank you very much. I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard. Hillary has worked very long and very hard over a long period of time. And we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country. I mean that very sincerely.
Their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done. And it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
And we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country. That plays great before the election. Now we don't.
Autism has become an epidemic. 25 years ago, 35 years ago, you look at the statistics, not even close. I want smaller doses over a longer period of time.
Today, I want to update you on the next stage of this momentous medical initiative. It's called Operation Warp Speed. That means big and it means fast. A massive scientific, industrial, and logistical endeavor unlike anything our country has seen since the Manhattan Project. Today, my administration released our detailed national vaccine distribution plan. And that includes a plan to ensure that we swiftly deliver the vaccine directly to America's senior citizens in nursing homes. And it's all set. We have our military lined up. Everybody's lined up. You really could say that nobody's seen anything like we're doing, whether it's ventilators or testing. Nobody's seen anything like we're doing now within our country since the Second World War. Incredible to get.
So anyway, I just wanted to share those couple of clips because, see, you can hear Trump. You can hear Trump, and he says one thing before the election, another thing after the election. And it's like, you know, and he's the one who signed the emergency order. You know, he's the one who brought this lockdown. And people keep going, oh, no, it's the Democrats keep locking us down. Well, no, my governor is a Republican, and he's locking us down. Other states, you go traveling around your states, you can't really go into any place. They keep trying to make you wear a mask and harassing you about it. And a lot of businesses aren't even open. And this is in Republican states, but even in the Democrat states. Okay, who gave the Democrats a leg to stand on? It was Trump, because Trump's got the emergency order. Wouldn't you, if you're a Democrat and all your people are like scared of the virus and when they want to sit at home and collect a paycheck and things like that, why would you go and open up your state, right? You're a Democrat governor and there's a national emergency. What does that make you look like? Hey, I'm going to open up my state during a national emergency. That looks stupid, right? You can't blame the Democrats. That's your fault. That's your fault, you know? I mean, you're the one who's got a national emergency. And it's like, so the Democrat, why are you going to open up your state during a pandemic when this guy, declared a national emergency. But yeah, so people should realize politicians and business elitists are not separate but the same in governing the nations. You say you hope I'm okay, Chris. Well, I don't know. Do I seem a little disturbed? I try not to be too crazy. I mean, I've kept things in check. I mean, I'm kind of moving towards that way, though, to be honest. I mean, I am like, it's basically like I can't think of something big enough. It's like I went out to my car with some paint today, and I just was like, well, I might paint a message on my car. Like, I really don't care at this point, just like, but I want to paint something besides, masks are stupid and all this other stuff. I mean, I want to have like a really good deep message to get people to think. But I mean, I will sit there and paint it, paint on my brand new looking car. I've only had the car for about 2 years, but I will sit there and paint all over my car with, just regular paint, and I don't really care. And I would just drive that car around with that message on it. Cause I'm at a point where I'm so done with the whole thing. And basically it's just a matter of how do I best say a message with simple words. Like I wanted to put something about ivermectin, being able to save lives, and just paint that all over my car. But I'm still trying to figure out the best way to paint it. But I did grab the paintbrush today and a bucket of paint. But I was like, man, I don't know, man. Well, the only thing that stopped short from doing it was I just couldn't figure out what to do. But I'm also thinking of things beyond that point. Like, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to print out this medical study that says if you give people ivermectin and doxycycline early in COVID treatment, and you don't give them steroids, you stay away from steroids because steroids suppress the immune system and cause them to go into severe COVID. I'm giving out medical information. It's supposed to be misinformation. So this is information. Like there are studies that on my website, Fishing for Truth, medical doctors did a study. And you can go look it up, that PDF for verification. You know what? I better just share that so people kind of know what I'm talking about. It'll probably look a little bit different on your cell phone. If you go to my site on your cell phone, but let me just kind of go to, that's kind of the, let me make sure I updated that. Don't know what I really put on it. But anyway, if you go to my site, you can kind of like look right about here. It says home, FLCCC, frontline. It's the frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance. And it's got COVID treatments. If you go down to the iMask prophylaxis and early outpatient treatment protocol for COVID-19, it will talk about the ivermectin and all this other stuff, vitamin D. If you take vitamin D, if your vitamin D levels are correct and you're not deficient, you're 7 times less likely to die from COVID, according to many medical studies. And I also got another one about hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin. And both of these studies, I've seen people fight over both of these studies about which one's the best one. I'm leaning towards this one just from some of the, I hear some doctors just seem a little bit more excited and passionate about this one. So I'm kind of leaning towards this one. But I mean, I still hear a lot of them defending this one too. And I mean, I think both of them they seem effective from what I understand. I did add a couple of things to my website, by the way, like the Holy Roman Empire's rules today. I put a link to their blog, and actually, I do kind of want to look at this real quick. Yeah, it says Archbishop exposes a great reset in letter to Trump. Oh, that's nothing new. We all know about Archbishop Maria Vigano. But I guess he's got like an article on that talking about that pastor and everything. And but anyway, if you want to read this whole thing, I won't read it. Maybe I might read it later if the show's going slow or someone wants me to read it. But anyway, I just kind of added a few things to it. Oh, by the way, this video by Eric77, Jesuit-trained Judge Edward Haggerty covered up JFK assassination. Really great video. I don't think he's getting enough credit for this one, but very well researched. I only saw half of it so far, and I was kind of blown away by it. So I just kind of wanted to tell people about that. But anyway, see here, Road Rebel says, I'm done with The Matrix 2. I can see through it. Broern says, The Matrix is designed to stress the human body to weaken. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of things going on to weaken people. Oh, one thing I will say about this vaccine that just came out. Now I'm listening to Dr. Mo Bean and a few other doctors describe it, and when they describe it, this whole efficacy thing, when they say a vaccine's 100%, it has 100% efficacy, or the other one's got like 90. What is it? The Pfizer vaccine's got 94% efficacy because only one person got severely sick from COVID after getting the vaccine. And these other people, even though they got COVID, they didn't get severely sick. They didn't get hospitalized. And so that's considered 100% efficacy. I just want people to understand that when they give these vaccines out, the vaccine is about... It's not about keeping you from getting the virus. It's about they rate the vaccine according to, do you get extremely sick from the virus? And the one thing is, when I try to ask a couple of doctors about it, I said, wait a minute. Now I made this like off comment where I said, well, hey, I gave one of my patients a flu vaccine, and they were in pretty good shape, had all their vitamins, and none of them got severely sick from COVID. So I'm guessing this flu vaccine that I gave them works. And the doctor started reading it. I didn't want to feel like I was trolling him. So I said, no, man, I'm just kidding. I didn't have time to type out my real comment. But my whole point to that doctor was, how do we know what these people's diet's like? Like, okay, Moderna, let's say their vaccine's 100%. You say their vaccine's 100% effective because no one got severely sick. But what if all those people who got COVID, what if the majority of them had good vitamin D levels? They were healthy. They ate good diets, exercise. While, the people in the Pfizer one, it's like the people who happened to get sick, one of them who happened to catch COVID after getting the vaccine, didn't really take care of themselves very well. They never got their proper vitamins and stuff. So that's why they got severe COVID, right? But see, if I got no vaccine and I have proper vitamin levels and I exercise, I eat good, like me, I have not been sick all year. I'm normally sick get 3 or 4 colds a year. I have not gotten sick since January because ever since COVID broke out, I didn't know what it was at first. So I started looking up all these things to boost my immune system because I was like, well, maybe if this gets so bad, and this is way before they thought about locking things down because this was in January. I said, man, what if this thing breaks out into a pandemic? See, I was already worrying about a pandemic before they were even starting to think about a pandemic. And so I started looking up all these things about vitamins and stuff because I'm like, well, looks like the Democrats are, kind of wanting to keep things open, and they keep yelling at Trump every time he thinks about shutting down a border. So I don't see how this is not going to turn into a pandemic. It looks serious. I'm seeing these people get locked into buildings, welded into buildings in China. So I'm like, okay, let me go look at all these vitamins. And then I start figuring out, oh, well, it doesn't look like it's going to be all that bad. Like it's going to just affect older people, you know. And by February, I was like pretty calm about it. And I was like, well, just eat all these vitamins and stuff. But see, I haven't been sick all year. You know, I've been eating vitamin D, drinking green tea, which has got quercetin in it, which helps your which helps your cells absorb zinc because it's an ionophore. So I've been like doing like little things like that and taking vitamin C. I'm keeping my vitamin levels up kind of high, a little bit above, I guess, average, just because I was kind of nervous, and I have not been sick all year. But see, if you gave me a vaccine, what's the difference? I haven't been sick anyway. You could claim that vaccine worked on me, but I've been taking all these extra vitamins. You could be like, wow, when I gave Chris that vaccine, he hasn't gotten any kind of cold all year, but I've been taking vitamins. So how do we know these Pfizer people that got the vaccine or these Moderna people who got the vaccine? How do we know what they are? Like I have yet to see any kind of stats on them. Like what kind of health do you got? What's your age? How fit are you? Your vitamins, all that stuff. So, I'll just read a few comments. Robed Rebel says, yep, it's Fear Factory. Yeah, 1 year trial, LOL. Other vaccines, anywhere from 4 to 10 year testing. Yeah, you know, here's the thing about warp speed too. Warp speed is supposed to be 14 months. What is it? We started doing this in March. So, actually towards the end of March. So, from April till November, 7 months, we did it in half the speed of warp speed. And they already started manufacturing that. I don't know if anyone's seen that video I had. It's on BitChute. It's like a 2-minute video where one of the people who are manufacturing the vaccine, they've been manufacturing this vaccine a month ago. And because they said, well, you know, we need to take this $620 million gamble that the vaccine's going to be okay. That way we can have enough of it already produced. So when they approve it, we'll give it to people. But yet they hadn't even had any tests, you know, really. Like, I mean, this trial is not that old. And here they are rolling out this vax. Anyway, Road Rebel says our biggest fight will be disasters at this point. Floods from the east, fires from the west. Bjorn says the medical profession today is not to save lives, but treat sick continuously over and over. If you could cure the common flu and the human family, you'd be in a prison system, which is probably true. And one thing that I also heard when you spoke about disasters, you know, they're setting up, what is this? Man, I had a lot of clips saved, and for some reason on this other program that I got all the clips like nicely cut up, it won't play at all until I close out my computer and reopen it, so I can't do it. But later on, I will make a video where I got all these like clips that are nicely cut up that everyone's saying, making all these different comments. But one of them is they got some kind of program that they're rolling out in Europe because they're anticipating a lot of, I guess, like a lot of vaccine injuries and things like that. And so they're coming up with like an action plan for when they roll out the vaccines, because they expect like there to be a lot of, I guess, a lot of side effects from the vaccines. And so they're trying to prepare for it. And another thing is when these companies were giving the doctors the vaccines, like, you know, giving it to, or they say before they give it to these doctors, they're telling them, hey, it might cause fertility problems, but they don't label it on the packages. Well, no, it's not that it might cause fertility problems, that it hasn't been tested, so they don't know what the effects are for fertility. And then they're handing these doctors this, but these doctors are not being told, oh yeah, you need to tell the patient this too. Like there's nothing, I guess there's nothing on the vaccines packaging to say, oh, this is not, we don't know the results of fertility, and it hasn't, and it's never been tested to know what those results would be, because the vaccine's so new, you can't possibly know if you can have a baby after taking it, or what your baby's going to look like after you take it. So and so that's like another thing that they're doing with this whole vaccine. So I mean, those were some of the observations about it, just hearing all these doctors talk, which I find worrisome. And people keep saying, oh, well, they're not going to make the vaccine mandatory. But one thing people need to realize is that they might not make it mandatory, but that doesn't mean that, like, okay, you saw what Ticketmaster, well, some of you might not know what Ticketmaster did. Ticketmaster has floated out the ideal of you're not allowed to come to our concerts if you can't have proof of immunization, or you can't show that you've tested negative. You can't come into the concert, you know? So it's like so it might start out with Ticketmaster and a football game or some other place, amusement parks, but then who's to say that it's not going to, next thing you know, it's your job, grocery stores, and you just can't come in here unless, you got proof of vaccination, which means, yes, while the vaccine's not mandatory, you might not be able to go into any place. There's a lot of things that aren't mandatory, but but if you don't have them, you can't go do them. And there were worse, man. I really wish I had my computer didn't mess up with me about some of this audio. Maybe I'll just do another broadcast later after I fix that. Because there's a lot of good news articles I need to touch up on. Because, one point like I wanted to make was, as I was reviewing material before I started my show, they're passing these laws. Like, I think it's New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, which is passing a law where you can't criticize a trans person in your own house, or you could get fined, which basically means you have a son, and mom might like that son, but that son goes and becomes a girl. And let's say that son's name's Jason, becomes a girl, and becomes Susie Q. And mom's like, oh, I miss my son, my boy Jason, and I guess there's something called death shaming, and it's where, like, you consider that when you were that person that was a boy to be dead, and now you're a girl, and you get called by that name. And it's something called like death shaming, I think, or something like that. And it's considered offensive. And I guess if mom was to do that, mom could get a fine, So it's like they got really, like, a lot of really crazy things going on. But my point about it is, when they got all these laws that prevent you from telling, like, a homosexual you think it's wrong, and all this other stuff. One thing I noticed in our governments around the world, it's not like it's full of atheists. So what I see in our government, a lot of Catholics and so-called Christians, but ecumenicals, which I basically think are part of the whole harlot church. Which I think are harlot daughters of the great whore, which is the Catholic Church. And so I see. So it's not so much, oh, you got atheists making these laws. No, you got these false light Christians, supposed Christians, that are sitting there passing these laws that all these other Christians are like, oh my gosh, we're under threat. Well, who passed them? Who passed them? And might sound just a tiny bit offensive, but most of these churches like that are Sunday churches. And, all these like Sunday churches, just like Catholic Church keeps Sunday, and all these ecumenical churches keep Sunday, and Harlot Daughters. And I know that's going to be offensive to a lot of people. And actually, you know what? I wonder if my channel keeps growing, if I'm doing something wrong anyway. So, so maybe, if I lose a few subscribers every week, I'm like, maybe I did something right. And if people still kind of stick to me, and like, well, I'll still put up with his stuff, man. He's at least, talking about some other news. I don't want to be informed. I just wish he wouldn't talk about that Sabbath stuff. But I mean, that is my view. When I see these churches, the one thing I noticed they all got in common, it's like, I don't see Sabbath keeping politicians up in there, like it's your Sunday politicians who are supposed Christians passing these laws, and now you're going and complaining against them, like, wow, we're protecting these homosexuals too much and these transsexuals too much, and we're letting these pedophiles off a little too easy. Well, who's got a problem with pedophilia? It's your Catholic Church. It's like you can't put two and two together because it ain't your atheist. It's not your Muslims. We don't even have Muslims in the U.S. government except for a couple of elected officials. That's about it. But not enough to get these kinds of laws passed. So and so, I mean, and really that ties into what I was saying earlier about me thinking there's a great deception going on. I see all these, false teachers and false prophets getting together with Donald Trump, and Trump uniting with them and going to their church and being uplifted and being celebrated by them. And I just see like this big old ecumenical Catholic party with Trump, and it's like, we're going to all save the world and rise up against this deep state. And what I think it is you're going to see this false light go up against this darkness, and then it's going to elevate that false light. But that false light really is no better than this darkness, but everyone's going to kind of fall into it, and that's just kind of what I believe and what I'm scared of for people. Like, what I see actually makes me almost faint. But I think when other people see it initially, they'll be all like, oh my gosh, this is great. Wow, Trump's winning. He won the election. And they'll just be so hyped up. But, I see just a lot of bad things coming out of it. So I'm just gonna kind of read a few comments. Let me make sure. Yeah, I'll start back here. Depopulation is the agenda for the cabal. Easier to control, less sheep. I do think that that's part of it. I mean, Bill Gates did say if we do a really good job with these vaccines, we can limit the population growth. Road Rebel says human rights start flying out the window. Bjorn says the same with Australia Airway. You can't travel with COVID-19. The nations are united against the common people. Road Rebel says, yeah, Aussies are getting hit hard with tyranny. Testing ground. Canada next. Yeah, it sure seems that way. United against the, Bjorn says, united against the common people of this world, even male and female sexuality. Road Rebel says the Catholic churchgoers are fooled. I'm happy the Catholic Church is crumbling from within. One comment about that I'll make is I think that whole crumbling within, I think it's a controlled implosion. I think you might see a crumbling, and you might see some kind of like other sort of Catholicism rising out of it with different leadership. And it might even unite a lot of the ecumenicals there. It might look like a different form of Catholicism that's more acceptable to ecumenicals. And I wonder if that could possibly unite them. I can't really, I can't really say what the ultimate game plan is, but there's just some things I see where I do ponder whether something like that's about to occur, like a controlled implosion of various institutions that you might think is evil or wicked or corrupt. But I don't see them actually going away. I just see it being turned into something else and it given a new identity and face, but not really actually getting rid of the problem, not getting rid of the root of the cause, and not eliminating the problem. Road Rebel says people gotta get past religion, think spiritual. Bjorn says Road Rebel, the reason why people are cowardly to these corrupted elitists because people are comfortable with sinner Jesuit programming on TV box, maybe sinister Jesuit programming on the TV box. And yeah, I would say they are comfortable with it. And brainwashed into this programming on the TV. And I don't even know. I don't know if it's, I wonder if is it more cowardly, or is these people just like, I just want an easy life and I don't want the hassle. Like, I don't want to believe there's anything wrong. And I just want to feel like things are okay so I can go back and go play golf and go to my football game and play my video games and just do the things I like to do. I miss doing what I like to do. I don't really, I think some of these people, even though they might say they're Christian, I kind of do wonder about how much they really care about God. And they see these things going on and like their spirit's not provoked enough. If you got a righteous spirit and you see all this wickedness going on, how does that not provoke you? Like, you don't have to do anything aggressive, like grab up a gun or anything. But I mean, like, how are you not moved to be like, hey man, I need to get some people together and we need to, kind of like say something, get together, do something, like me, I'm like I said, I'm gonna print out a bunch of medical information, take it straight to the Department of Health. I had to wait a whole week, to get around the time to do it, but I plan on doing that like over Sabbath because I think I'm doing a good thing. I'm not like I'm trying to save lives, so I'm not breaking the Sabbath by printing up medical information and just set that medical protocol there and be like, well, I hand delivered it to a couple of hospitals and especially to the Indiana Department of Health. I know they got it because I hand delivered it to them. And here you go. If you want to keep killing people and telling them there's no cure, that's fine. But here it is. Here's some treatments. Because I just don't, I don't think, I think a lot of these people died because of incompetent medical care. I mean, that's my opinion. Whole video is my opinion. That way it doesn't get ripped down, whole video is my opinion. I think a lot of these people died because of incompetent medical care. And really, there's so much data right now about giving people steroids early in COVID. There's enough data to go around and where no doctor should be giving a patient steroids when they still have a mild case of COVID. Now, maybe you can argue with it when it gets more severe and you're trying to help them to breathe and everything like that. Maybe you can make that argument. But when it's less severe, you definitely should not be giving them steroids. And yet doctors are still doing it. And I'm still reading reports where a patient's progressing worse because a doctor went and gave them steroids. And there's more than enough information that says you should not be doing this. So, Road Rebel says they're pushing for a one world order, one world religion. Get it? And yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what's going to happen with Trump. And I really believe this is why he's going to win. Because, I mean, I play that video of those like Christians prophesying and just how not just the Christians in America, but the whole world and even non-Christians. There's a lot of people that are rooting for Trump to win. And I really think like if he was to win, people would see that as a victory against evil, against corrupt liars, and it would elevate his image. And I already see the excuses people are cutting for him. And he's been nominating people like Barr and Kavanaugh and all these people that's been covering up all these crimes. Acosta, who gave Epstein that deal to keep him out of jail in 2008. That was one of Trump's first nominations. And people keep cutting them excuses. I could only imagine, like if you actually saw Trump fight deep state and beats deep state, where these people's minds would go. I mean, it would blow their minds. They'd be like, oh my gosh, he really is beating them. He really is exposing them. It's like, what could he not tell you and get away with, I mean, that is my whole point. I know that the beginning of this video, like really, well, part of it was poorly done when I started it off. I really wish I could have found those clips of those Christians because I wanted to find them. I thought it was earlier. It's been over a day since I watched the video, and lots happened since then. But I wanted to have those Christians where they're all prophesying and all saying all that stuff, even that one that's like, oh, and Bill Gates is gonna open up, the finances for the church, and like all these things that people are saying, man. And it's like I can just see how all these false prophets that are predicting a Trump victory, like this won't be a false statement they make. Okay, they'll look like they prophesied it. But I've been saying that I think this is the plan all along. That's why they ran Kamala and Biden. They ran, like, you got to think about this. Kamala and Biden were like the lowest liked candidates on the Democrat ticket. I think they were like coming in last place as far as like people's choices when you ask them in opinion polls, who would you like? I think they were always near the bottom of who you would choose. It was people like what's his name, Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders. Those were like way up at the top. Where was Biden and Kamala? Those weren't people's top choices. So you got to think logically. They ran the worst ticket on purpose. I mean, think about this. I mean, a senile guy, like even Democrats were making fun of Biden. They were making so much fun of Biden. I was watching it, and I was watching some of my friends, on Facebook, keep writing comments, about Biden, and making fun of him. And you want me to think that they were supporting him, or that some of them actually bothered to go out and vote for him? No, like I really don't think a lot of them even bothered to go out and vote. Because a lot of them, if they don't care about the president, they don't even bother to go out and vote. And a lot of them were mad about the Hillary thing anyway. They felt like Bernie got robbed, and they didn't even vote. They voted for Jill Stein the last time, I think, a lot of them. So you got to think, it's like, okay, really, you ripped us off the last time. You're running Biden, who's a joke, and I'm going to go out and vote for him? No, I can't imagine this, And so not only that, the rigging is so sloppy. Like, it's obvious. Like, oh, I found 1,000 votes for Biden. Really? You couldn't mix in a few Trump votes? And really, you don't think one person out of 100,000 votes for a few third-party candidates when you got to think about how mad Democrats still are about Bernie Sanders and the way the party treated him. You don't think a few of them are voting for the Green Party? You just really found 100,000 votes, all for Biden and nothing for these third-party candidates like Green Party. Like, see, that's the whole thing too. It's like they made it sloppy. Like this doesn't even make mathematical sense. So and that's why I think this whole thing is so concocted and obvious. Like it's obvious that they were gonna rig it. I even said so like way back in August that it was obvious that they were gonna rig it, because as soon as they start saying, Trump, are you gonna peacefully transition if you lose? It's like, or lose? I mean, like, because you can see how like just nutty people are about Trump. So it's like, what the Trump voters are, but really, who's going to vote? I'm seeing a lot of Democrats making fun of Biden. And it's like, really, who's going to vote for Biden? And you're talking all this stuff about. So at that point, I knew they were going to fix it, and I knew that this rigging was going to happen. But see, I also think Trump is deep state, so I think it's all part of it. So I thought initially maybe they were doing it for chaos reasons, and maybe they still might be doing it for chaos reasons, to create chaos. So if Trump wins, they have chaos, or it's to elevate Trump into this to look like light, but he's a false light, and look like he got this fight with corruption going on. So Bjorn says Fox Net with its pedophilia cartoon, Family Guy, yet these networks is supposed to represent Christian moral, right? Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they do say, Fox is a conservative network and all that, and but it's ran by Rupert Murdoch, who's a papal knight of St. Gregory, Catholic papal knight, and his News Corp helped get George Pell, number 3 at the Vatican, helped him get his conviction for raping boys overturned in Australia. Robed Rebel says, slaves with invisible chains. We are too distracted to have a friendship with our Creator by design, unless you have eyes to see. Love is what we're lacking. Sounds cliche, but just look around. Everything is satanic. And I do agree with that. Says everything's inverted, and I definitely agree with that, especially with the Sunday churches. God has his Sabbath on the last day of the week. And here we see all these ecumenicals and Catholics, and they look like they're uniting together. And they, when, like I said, you see them when they're holding public office. And what are they doing? They're passing these laws to protect homosexuals, and they protect pedophiles, and so we see them going to church on Sunday, which is the first day of the week, and the Sabbath is the last day of the week. God's Sabbath is the last day of the week. So they are doing something totally inverted. It's like first day of the week, last day of the week, up, cross right side up, cross upside down, the exact opposite. It should be obvious to people. And I actually think God makes this stuff obvious. I think the more satanic you get and the more corrupt you get, the more dumb you get, and you don't see the obvious. I think God makes a lot of this stuff obvious. A lot of the evil's obvious. It's right in front of your face. But if you keep wanting to ignore God, I think you get made stupid. But you know what? If you turn out the lights in a place and you try to talk about what's going on around you, you're going to sound pretty stupid because you got no light. But yeah, if you got light in your eyes and you look around, you can see what's in front of you, and you sound a lot smarter because you're not calling things what they aren't. It's kind of simple as that. Bjorn Smith says most doctors today, I I think here, I'll try to interpret this a little bit better. Most doctors today are bound to the most doctors today in the world that are bound to the pharmaceutical industries, they can't work without licenses for them. Yeah, pretty true. Road Rebel says everything is operated by signs and symbols, not rules and laws. And well, they definitely don't obey by their rules. I mean, that's for sure. People saw plenty of that evident with the whole mask wearing stuff. You got some people that will wear a mask and some people that, you got these governors and stuff that make laws about wearing masks, but they don't wear them. They make laws about, oh, you can't eat at these restaurants, and somehow they'll go eat at those restaurants and go get their hair cut and all this other stuff. But a lot about what I'm saying about the this false light versus darkness, which I believe we're about ready to see after Trump wins. And I know it might look bad to a lot of people, but I think Trump really will win, and he will be that false light going up against darkness, and people will think light is winning and light is overcoming darkness. But this video right here, called The Great Reset versus The Great Awakening, made by On Point Preparedness, you just look for this rise up right here in the graphic, and I think that that kind of touches on like a lot of the same views I have, as basically as this, the Q, all the Q stuff that's going on. I really believe that's like another psyop to control people. All the things that Sidney Powell's doing right now, basically embellishing all this Q rhetoric and getting people to get back on that whole Q train and think that, you got something going on. Man, that reminds me, there's this guy that did this video. Oh, man, I need to play just a little bit of this if I can find it. I might have to just go on my Facebook to find it. See if I can. Okay, I'm just going to play. Because I just want people to hear a little bit of this, because I honestly think this is going to be part of. I think this is what most Trump supporters believe and think, and that's going on. And let's see here. So if someone wants to find this video, it's by this guy, and he goes by the Tipping Point Radio. And it's called Post-Election Update Number 4, U.S. Military 2020 Election Sting Operation leading to Trump's second term landslide. But I want you to hear all this craziness that he believes and is buying into and selling you into.
With this election fraud that is now out in the open where everybody can see it, including the whole world. And another thing that's happening is I'm realizing that this great awakening, that is the strategy, the end game for the strategy to take down this massive global Rothschild criminal central banking empire that runs the entire planet, is under its existential attack by patriots in the military, by President Trump, the administration, and alliance powers around the world. And what I've found out from doing a video, a live stream video, I'm blown away. I got to tell you, my friends, my patriots in other countries all over the world, I am absolutely blown away by everything that I'm seeing. And so all of you people from Russia, from Denmark, Australia, Lebanon, Slovakia, Iran, Canada, and I could go on to many countries, Germany. It's incredible what I've seen come at me from all over the world. From a video we did less than a week ago, actually in about 2 hours, it'll be a whole week. And this video went viral, 186,000 views at this point. I use my YouTube channel, folks, for one reason. to take the show that I do for 2 hours, turn it into a video narration, upload it onto the YouTube channel, so those who can't see the show live can go back and watch it in video form. And for our folks, it's a global platform, so we have an.
So, basically, there's another part I want to find. Let me see if I can find this other part just a little bit easier. I know this person uploaded it. And Grover Studios. I'm gonna make sure this is the exact same clip. Oh man, did she take it down? Oh, I think it was on another channel she's got. Because I'm pretty sure she's the one who showed it to me or mirrored it. But
Satan's looking for your soul.
More rights that among these are.
There's a specific part I want you to hear about this, because he's talking about this whole military coup that's going on and organized to try to bring down this whole deep state that's going on in the whole world, basically, but especially in America. And my whole thing is, he was talking about how this was organized all the way back in before Trump was president, and that it's all like this massive operation, and military's involved to get Trump in office and then take down the deep state. And I really believe a lot of people are buying into this, and and I think there's a bigger plan than what people think is going on. But I think ultimately this whole plan is going to steer people towards a false lie. And that's really basically the whole purpose of me even doing this broadcast. I just wish it was a little bit better, a little bit more streamlined. See here, I'm just reading a couple of comments. Trump or Biden in the White House, the world will be in the dark winter. Shutting down USA 4 to 8 weeks will kill small businesses, production of nations and people's lives. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with the winter. There's definitely something big coming on. People need to be prepared. I know some people think, smallpox might get released, bioweapon. That's another thing. This video I'm going to do, Hard News TV 5, Terry Lynn, she kind of touches on that. Like I said, I had all these clips that I really wanted to play for people lined up, but for whatever reason, this program is crashing on me that I got everything nicely chopped up into. So really sorry about the rough broadcast. But I might end it and just go finish this video real quick, because I might find that clip of that guy talking, because I think that's kind of important too. I just kind of basically really want to just give some people some kind of hint that there's something bigger about ready to go on, and more than just it's going to be more than just taking down deep state. I know that for sure. So I think I'll just call it a day right now. And I appreciate everyone for showing up, chatting, commenting. I'm really sorry, man. I've offended some people, kind of. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of get scared if my channel was getting too big, because Jesus did say narrow is the way and few find it. So I if my way starts getting broad and I start getting too many people listening to me, I'm probably like, whoa, maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. And then again, I might be saying the wrong thing, and that's why I'm having so few views. I'm trying to make sure I'm stay on that very, very narrow path in between those two things. So anyway, thanks for watching, and later, and I will be putting that other video up soon, and hopefully that goes better than this broadcast, and goodbye.